Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Steam still clung to the bathroom mirror when I stepped out, towel twisted around my hair, drops of water trailing down the curve of my neck. I was just trying to dry it, nothing dramatic, nothing worth a heartbeat racing, until I felt his presence behind me. Warm. Close. Almost too close. Before I could lift the towel again, he slipped it from my hands with a quiet grin, tossing it aside as if it were in his way. My breath caught. His fingers, slow, deliberate, combed through my wet strands, untangling them like they were something fragile. And the way he looked at me in the mirror, like he was tracing every drop sliding over my skin, memorizing the way it curved down my back. I turned to say something, anything, but he was already there. His lips brushed mine first, soft and searching, before deepening into something hungrier. The world beyond the bathroom door didn't exist anymore. There was only the scent of soap and his skin, the gentle tug of his hands at my hair, the shiver that escaped me when he pulled me closer. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a slow unraveling, of patience, of space, of all the quiet we'd been pretending to hold. Each heartbeat pressed us closer, his breath warm against my cheek, his touch sinking deeper into my soaked hair as if he was trying to learn every inch of me through his fingertips. I should have stepped back. I should have said we'd be late. But instead, I found myself leaning in, answering every whisper of his lips with my own. The towel lay forgotten on the floor, and the only thing that mattered was how his hands framed my face, how time seemed to stall between us. And then, just as I was sure I'd lose myself in that moment, he stopped. Breathless, eyes locked on mine, he hovered close enough for me to still feel the warmth of his breath. Whatever he was about to say next hung in the air, suspended between the pulse of my heartbeat and the next kiss that hadn't happened yet. His breath lingered on my lips, a warm ghost of the kiss we weren't done with. He didn't pull away completely, just far enough for his eyes to search mine like he was about to confess something he shouldn't. My heart drummed in my chest, too loud for the silence around us. What? I whispered, my voice softer than the steam curling around us. He smiled, not his usual smile, but the kind that carried a secret. Nothing, he murmured, his fingers still tangled in my hair. Just trying to remember if I promised to behave tonight. I laughed, but it came out shaky, betraying how close I was to melting again. You never behave, I teased, and his grin deepened, wicked and tender all at once. Maybe that's why you keep me around, he whispered, leaning closer until his lips grazed the shell of my ear. The brush of his breath sent a wave of heat spiraling down my spine. His hands trailed from my hair to my shoulders, pausing on bare skin just long enough to make me forget how to breathe. Or maybe, I managed, it's because you're terrible at drying hair. He chuckled against my skin, low and warm, before kissing a slow path down the side of my neck. I can think of better ways to dry you, he murmured, and the words carried layers. Playful, yes, but threaded with something deeper, something unspoken that neither of us had dared name yet. Because under the teasing touches and lingering kisses, there was still that, the thing we weren't talking about. The reason his eyes sometimes lingered on me like he was memorizing me in case he had to let go. The reason my chest tightened every time silence fell between us. Hey, I whispered, cupping his face and making him meet my eyes. Are you sure we're okay? The question hung there, heavier than the steam around us. His jaw tightened just a little before he kissed me again, deeper this time, like an answer he wasn't ready to put into words. And maybe that was his way of saying yes. Or maybe it was a distraction from the truth he was still hiding. Either way, the kiss deepened, the room faded, and the secret lingered, a heartbeat away from breaking everything wide open. His kiss slowed, then deepened again, like he was trying to drown a thought before it reached the surface. But it was already there, flickering behind his eyes every time he pulled back to breathe. And I felt it too. The shift. The unspoken. The something neither of us had the courage to name. Talk to me, I whispered, my palms pressed flat against his chest. His heartbeat thudded against my skin, steady but heavy. He hesitated, then brushed a strand of wet hair from my cheek. "It's nothing," he said too quickly. "I just keep thinking about what you said the other night." My breath caught. That night. The one where we'd let wine loosen our words and curiosity slip past caution. The one where I'd admitted, half joking, half serious, that I sometimes wondered what it would feel like to see him with someone else, or us together with someone else. I hadn't meant for it to linger beyond that moment. But apparently, it had. "You remember that?" I asked softly. He nodded, his fingers tracing lazy circles along my shoulder. How could I forget? His voice was calm, but there was a question beneath it, a dangerous, tempting one. Was it just a thought, or something more? The room suddenly felt smaller. Hotter. My pulse stumbled as I searched his face for judgment, jealousy, something. But all I found was curiosity, and maybe, buried deep beneath it, a spark of the same forbidden thought. "I don't know," I whispered. "I think about it sometimes. And then I hate that I do." He exhaled slowly, his lips finding the base of my neck, tasting the skin there like he was testing the words on his tongue. "You're not the only one who's thought about it," he murmured. The confession sent a shiver racing through me, part fear, part fire. Was he teasing me? Testing me? Or had he already crossed that invisible line in his mind? Before I could ask, he kissed me again, harder this time, hands sliding over damp skin, claiming and questioning all at once. It wasn't just desire anymore, it was tension, charged and dangerous, wrapping around us tighter than any embrace. And in that breathless, trembling space, neither of us knew if we were falling deeper into each other, or into something neither of us could undo. His words hung in the air, heavier than the steam swirling around us. "You're not the only one who's thought about it." They replayed in my head, twisting my heartbeat into something wild. My breath hitched as he pressed closer, his hands gliding slowly down my back, fingers tracing water droplets as if mapping every inch of me. "Then why didn't you say anything?" I whispered, the question trembling against his lips. He pulled back just enough to meet my eyes, his gaze steady and unreadable. "Because once I say it, we can't pretend it's not there anymore." Before I could answer, his mouth found mine again, deeper, hungrier, full of everything we weren't saying. My hands gripped the back of his neck, pulling him closer until our bodies aligned, skin against skin, hearts racing in sync. The kiss wasn't just desire anymore. It was a confession, a question, and a warning all at once. He lifted me effortlessly, setting me on the cool edge of the bathroom counter, water still dripping from my hair onto his shirt. The contrast of heat and chill made me shiver. His fingers traced a slow line from my jaw down my collarbone, pausing just above the pulse beating wildly beneath my skin. "You feel that?" he whispered. "That's how hard it is not to tell you everything." The words tangled with my breath, and I didn't know if I wanted the truth or to stay suspended in this beautiful, dangerous moment. "Then tell me," I breathed. "Whatever it is, just say it." He hesitated, a heartbeat too long. Then, leaning close, his lips brushed the corner of my mouth as he whispered, "Because if I do, you might see me differently. And I don't want to lose this." Before I could ask what he meant, a sound shattered the cocoon around us, a soft vibration from his phone, forgotten on the sink. He froze. I glanced over his shoulder, and my pulse skipped. A message preview glowed on the screen, and though I couldn't read the full thing, one word flashed clear enough to steal my breath. A name. A woman's name. The air shifted. His hands were still on me, his lips inches from mine, but everything suddenly felt sharper, heavier, like we were standing on the edge of something that could change everything. And in that suspended second, between the next kiss and the question I was suddenly terrified to ask, neither of us moved. For a heartbeat, everything stilled, the steam, the breath between us, even the pulse in my throat. That single name glowing from his phone changed the air, charged it with questions I wasn't ready to ask. Who is she? I whispered, my voice softer than I intended, but it sliced through the silence anyway. His eyes flicked toward the phone and back to me. It's nothing, he said quickly, too quickly. It's not what you think. I swallowed, trying to believe him, trying not to let my imagination run wild. But the look in his eyes, a flicker of guilt, or maybe just hesitation, made it impossible to ignore. Then what is it? He stepped closer, closing the tiny distance I'd created between us, his hands sliding to my waist with deliberate calm. Right now, he murmured, his lips brushing the edge of my jaw, it's just you. Only you. The warmth of his breath melted some of the doubt, but not all of it. Still, when his mouth found mine again, slower this time, deeper, I felt myself unraveling under the weight of his touch. Maybe it was foolish. Maybe I'd regret it. But in that moment, I didn't want answers. I wanted him. His kisses trailed down my neck, his hands exploring the damp curves of my back with a tenderness that felt almost reverent. My fingers tangled in his shirt, pulling him closer until I could feel the heat of his heartbeat against my chest. The space between us vanished, breath, skin, and desire blurred into one. Tell me you feel this too, he whispered, voice hoarse against my ear. I do, I breathed, the confession slipping out before I could stop it. That's why it scares me. He paused, his forehead resting against mine. Then maybe we should stop, he said, but neither of us moved. And then, just as the tension between us was about to shatter, another sound cut through the moment, a knock at the front door. Loud. Insistent. Too close. We froze. My heart raced. Are you expecting someone? I asked, breathless. He shook his head, jaw tightening. No one knows I'm here. The knock came again, harder this time. A voice followed, muffled but unmistakably female. My stomach flipped as I caught the edge of it. I know you're in there. He swore under his breath, pulling back just slightly. Stay here, he said, but I grabbed his wrist before he could move. Who is that? My voice trembled, with fear, with jealousy, with too many things at once. He didn't answer. And in that second, everything shifted again. The desire between us was still there, pulsing hot and heavy, but now it tangled with dread and curiosity. Whoever was behind that door wasn't supposed to be here, and they were about to blow apart the fragile, intimate world we'd built in this room. His fingers tightened briefly around mine before he stepped away, leaving me perched on the edge of the counter, water still dripping from my hair, heart hammering against my ribs. The knocking stopped. Silence pressed against the walls. And then, a soft click. The sound of a key turning in the lock. I inhaled sharply, pulse roaring in my ears. Someone was coming in. And whatever happened next, nothing between us would be the same. The sound of the key turning sliced through the air, and everything inside me went still. He looked at me, not with guilt this time, but with something heavier. A decision. Stay here, he whispered again, but I shook my head. No, I breathed. Not until you tell me what's happening. Before he could reply, the door swung open, and footsteps echoed down the hallway, slow, deliberate. My pulse roared in my ears. Every second stretched longer than the last until the figure appeared in the doorway. A woman. She stopped dead when she saw us, me on the counter, towels sliding off my shoulder, his hands still half-reached toward me. Her gaze locked on his, sharp and furious. So it's true, she said quietly. You didn't even try to hide it. My stomach dropped. I looked at him, searching for denial, for anything, but he just closed his eyes, exhaling like a man whose secret had finally caught up with him. It's not what you think, he started, but she laughed, bitter and broken. Then explain why you're here with her when you're supposed to be talking to me about the arrangement. Arrangement. The word hit like a spark in dry air. I turned to him, breath catching. What is she talking about? He stepped closer, hands trembling slightly as they cupped my face. I should have told you, he said softly. We weren't together. Not really. We were talking about something. Something you mentioned. The idea you planted that night. My heart pounded. The couple swap. He nodded once. She's the one who suggested it first. I didn't want to tell you until I knew if it was something we both wanted. But then I met you. And I stopped wanting anything but this. His forehead rested against mine, his breath ragged. I was going to end it tonight. Before anything started. The woman's voice softened from the doorway. But you didn't. You kissed her. You chose. Silence. Then she turned and walked out, the door clicking behind her, leaving only the echo of everything unsaid. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then his hands slid back into my hair, pulling me close until our lips collided again, this time desperate, honest, trembling with everything we just risked. The kiss wasn't about escape anymore, it was surrender, release, a promise sealed between breaths. And just as I thought the world was steady again, he pulled back slightly, eyes locked on mine. She's not gone, he whispered. She said she'd wait for an answer. And just like that, the story wasn't over, it was only just beginning. The silence that followed felt different now, not sharp or accusing, but fragile, like the air before a storm passes. His forehead rested against mine, our breaths tangled, and for a long moment neither of us spoke. The knock, the name, the confession, all of it still hung between us, heavy but no longer unbearable. Do you still want her? I asked finally, my voice barely more than a whisper. His eyes softened as he cupped my face, thumbs brushing away the dampness that wasn't just from my wet hair. No, he said without hesitation. I want this. I want you. Something in me cracked open at the way he said it, not as an apology, but as a truth he'd been holding on to. The tension that had wrapped around us slowly loosened, replaced by something warmer, deeper. I pressed my forehead against his and exhaled. Then we decide together. No more secrets. No more testing how far we can push each other. Just us. Just us, he echoed, and then his lips were on mine again, not frantic or desperate this time, but slow, deliberate, full of meaning. Every brush of his mouth felt like a promise, every touch a quiet reassurance that whatever storm we just weathered, we were still standing. Together. He lifted me from the counter, holding me close as if I might disappear if he let go. My hands rested against his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heartbeat beneath my palms. It felt grounding, real, a reminder that love wasn't just passion or heat. It was this, the choice to stay, to forgive, to build something honest even when it scared us. We stayed there long after the steam faded from the mirror, wrapped in a silence that wasn't empty anymore. His fingers tangled gently in my hair again, drying strands one by one with the towel he'd tossed aside earlier, as if rewriting the start of this story into something new. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft but certain. I don't know what the future looks like, he murmured, but I know it's better with you in it. And for the first time all night, I believed him. The past, the doubts, the whispered what-ifs, they didn't vanish. But they no longer owned us. What remained was something deeper than desire and stronger than fear, a choice to love, fully and fiercely, without conditions. And as his lips met mine one last time, the world beyond that bathroom ceased to matter. There was only us, tangled in warmth, wrapped in trust, and ready to begin again.